Tuesday night, we got a fun 3-man weave tonight with myself, Jack, and Andy. Top Shot blew up their roadmap. We have an update on the Moonbird saga from last week. What else do we have going on? Oh, Yuga Labs. They have a metaverse land drop, all kinds of other drama in the NFT universe. It's Club Top Shot. It's Tuesday. Let's do this. Look at us here. Andy, I actually don't even know where you were. You were clearly not in Brooklyn, New York. Where have you been?
No, I was in New Orleans, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Went for Allie's birthday and the end of tax season. But yeah, it was good.
Was that your first time to New Orleans?
It was my second time. I went with Allie for my birthday, actually, a few years ago, maybe 2018. But it was like the middle of January. It was cold. You couldn't really get crawfish. So, like, I wasn't really going to New Orleans. Like, walking around Bourbon Street then, it was, like, sad. It was really weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't very much a party. So it was definitely more fun this time. Food is great.
Places like that, like
either time.
Oh, yeah. New Orleans food is great. I mean, but like Bourbon Street, the Vegas Strip, there's times when it can feel electric and there's times where it can feel like the most sad place on the entire universe.
Yeah.
I
got my nose pierced, so that was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, can we go full screen of this? I mean, okay.
Wow.
And to walk us through, was this a decision long in the making, a spur of the moment thing in New Orleans? What's the deal?
I've talked about doing it a while, but never really pulled the trigger. And then we were drunk in New Orleans and walked past a piercing place and had like half an hour to kill before dinner. And we were like, let's get some piercings. And so 2 of the girls we were with got another piercing on their ear, and I got my nose pierced.
There you go. And what kind of, how much bling, how many bling options do you have for that?
Oh, this is my only one so far. It is just the basic stud. I might get a ring, get crazy, or a hoop, but for now I'll stick with the stud.
Yeah, Fran wants to get a hoop. I feel like it should be, all the rave right now is, these NFTs that could potentially change over time and morph. I think like as every 3 months, your stud just gets a little bit bigger, I think would be a nice feature.
Yeah, I'm thinking of having it be like a community driven thing where I'm gonna sell maybe 1,000 NFTs for 2 or 3 ETH each, just cheap stuff, and they're gonna have some governance decisions over what kind of jewelry, things I do with it. Maybe do I get another one? Who knows?
There you go. Jack, what's going on with our Tyler Hero pick'ems tonight? Underdog hooked us up with a special line. I took Trae Young over, again trying to tilt you, knowing how much you hate Trae Young, and he is burning me like he's burned your New York Knicks.
I took him. I took Morant tonight, not on Underdog, and they're killing me. But my Underdog pick is I paired it with Chris Paul. Under 2.5 turnovers. He had none in games 2 and 3. He had 1 through 3 quarters of game 4, and then he had 2 turnovers in the 4th. Man, I am colder than cold right now.
The head of Wittig?
It's actually insane. My pick'em looks like a Christmas tree, and like tonight might just be the one that I actually, because I've said I was going to take a day off, and then like the hero line, and then I thought I had some winners, but like tonight I did a pick 5 for my fam, and I picked 4 that I really liked. Matthews already scored, DeAndre Hunter already hit, 2 more to go, and I was like, to get to the 5th, I want to take one from the fans. So the suggestion I took was Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Brewers, under 94.5 pitches, except for the fact that the person who suggested it at the line that they had it at, which was 95 pitches, and he threw 95 pitches, so it lost.
Jack, I think you're familiar with Vegas Dave, right? And his kind of tactics where he has such an insane record because he only bets like minus 10,000 money lines. You might need to scale back from the pick 5s to maybe the pick 2s just to kind of
listen, the pick look at that. I gotta share my screen.
All right,
this is the craziest run of all time. And obviously not a good. I haven't hit one since Thursday. And I do these multiple. All right, hold on. Let me pull this up. How to even find this? Okay, here we go. You can hear. But the funny thing though is that my betting, not on Underdog Fantasy, is I can't lose. I literally can't get a pick wrong. So all right, so we have this going right now. This freaking guy killing me. This is what I was just talking about. 94 and a half, 95 pitches. We did one. Can I go?
Oh, this is a disaster for underdogs.
These are live.
Winning, not winning, can't navigate the sun.
Look at this.
Oh God. Jack.
Let's go. There it is.
We should call it we should call you the head of helping underdogs book.
Look at this. Last night 23. It's bad right now.
Shout out though to Underdog. They did come to us and let us get our own little special tonight. I was just trying to think of max tilt equity, so I took the Tyler Hero over 1 assist, with Jack's thesis being he's a selfish player, he doesn't like him, so I thought what better way to stick it to Jack. But then there was legitimate concern that Hero would even get 1 assist tonight.
You're the first special line Underdog's done where not everyone has always been like, well, what if they get hurt on the first play? That's obviously a fair concern, but you're the first one where people are like, what if he actually doesn't get an assist? He did have one game this year without an assist, but every other game he had one. So my special, when I get to do it, will be like when they did the Karl Anthony Towns under 100 threes made, because that I don't see happening.
See, I just know, people want these, they just want a free line. There's no uncertainty with. I want to give the people a little bit of a sweat. You got to turn on that game and make sure Tyler Hero's dishing out.
What we need to do though is convince them. The specials are great, $25 max. They're great bankroll builders for people like me who need to really build up that bankroll. But we need to get back. It was the 1-year anniversary of the quickly Chris Paul special that we did. When you bankrupt Underdog. Yeah, when they would allow us to I think they took like a 3x and they made it a 6x. That's what we need to convince this squad at Underdog to let us hammer again.
Yeah, it's interesting. They haven't been doing the multipliers ever since that one quite as much. All right, I got to do a shout out. Something that came across the wire right before we went live. Andy missed this last week. There was a segment for some reason. I was going through my hidden folder on OpenSea, Andy, looking at all the dust in my wallet, and I had mentioned that I had minted or bought some of these Mochis, and I was down super bad on them. Wow. And lo and behold, you get rewarded when you FUD a project publicly, because here from the official account, as our token of gratitude, the Moshi fam extends Peter Overzet an honorary for labeling his Mochi investment as one of his worst buys in recent memory. Go tell Pete why you should be buying the dip instead. Tune into the great club Top Shot. I have my little Mochi holding my whole hollow pack. Shout out to my Moshi fam. We're strong, diamond hands, very comfy with my Mochis.
They should have made the Top Shot pack say YOLO. That would have been a great artistic. Yeah.
It was
the
funny
background is epic.
I know we got the arrows. We got my little blonde hair coming out from my backwards cap, the rosy cheeks. They nailed it. Moshis, you have fully redeemed yourself. I will now.
Have you listed it like Josh Hart would?
No, I mean, if I did list it, it would be a tax harvest situation around December. So Moshi, you got about until then to ship, to deliver utility. No, but I very much appreciate the honorary. Andy, wouldn't you say that's the trademark of being an NFT influencer, is getting honoraries sent to you?
I think the trademark of being an NFT influencer is being able to FUD a project while at the same time they make an honorary for you.
That's true.
Thank you.
That's true.
That's a
when you know you've
different
made it.
level. Exactly. So yeah, I don't even know where to start. We have a lot going on right now. Andy, I know you've been catching up on a bunch of stuff. I guess I'll start with you. What has caught your eye? What has been the most interesting thing for you in the space the past couple of weeks since we last heard from you?
Well, probably there was a couple of crazy things. The OpenSea acquiring Gem was a big one.
Yeah.
The Moonbirds stuff with Ryan Carson was I had a good time with that one. And then the Optimism airdrop today announced as well, I think, is a pretty big one.
Let's start with the Moonbirds. That was a big topic on last week's show. We ended up debating it for about 45 minutes. MBL told us all that he would rather have a Jokic Association NFT instead of a Moonbird NFT.
Those are pumping.
Are they actually?
What are they up to?
I did look though, and I saw people were buying them for like 0.13 or something. And I was like, what? Who is buying this? I really don't know.
If
But
BL was
hey,
loading
if they're trending up and Moonbirds are trending down, maybe Mike, is sharp.
All right,
Yeah, like
0.169
how is
floor,
that possible?
very strong in this economy. I really wish we would have done a club show on like Friday or Saturday when Moonbirds, as Antfex mentions here, we're hitting a 40 ETH floor. There's been
Did you sell?
No. I'm nesting. I'm comfortable in my nest. Andy, are you nesting your bird?
Oh, I'm nesting. I mean, do I wish I had been selling? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I going to rationalize that with no, I'm nesting?
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. But yeah, I'm nesting.
You're nesting. And you were like watching you, because you capitulated. It seemed like you didn't necessarily want to buy a Moonbird, and price kept going up, up, up. And then you finally were like, fuck it, I need to get one of these burbs.
What'd you get it at?
Like 24 ETH.
Oh, you're up.
Your burb is cool though. I put it on the thumbnail tonight.
No, I liked it. Yeah. I actually like, so I've had like an interesting evolution of how I feel about the like proof stuff in general. At first when it came out, I was like, oh, sick, you're making a paid Discord chat. Like, that's cool. I should do that and see if I can make money too. But like, it's become clear that I like what I've enjoyed about it. And I do not own a proof collective pass. What I think is cool about it is you can like kind of slowly build a community of people. And so it's like proof makes this 1,000-person thing, figures out what they're doing, starts to build excitement around the things that they're making. And then they drop Moonbirds and they like dilute all of the proof holders because now they have this 10,000 thing that they also are working on and like obviously going to spend time on. That's not exclusively for proof people, but the proof holders feel great about it because they also got this NFT, even though they didn't get all of them. And it's kind of like an evolution of what Bored Apes did with mutants and all of that. And so I think that's like kind of cool. My challenge with it and where I got hung up is it was like, I personally do not think that the perks that come along with Proof Collective or Moonbirds or any of those things are very interesting. They're not something that I'm like I don't find them very desirable. And so I just like had the personal hang up of like, oh, I don't want this. So why does anyone want this? And like, are they $100,000 desirable? Probably not. But in an NFT market where everything is, hyperinflated, like I think that you can like make the case that they're executing very well. Clearly, like Kevin's a really smart dude and they're doing cool things. And so like I actually had planned to buy some Moonbirds when they released, but I was traveling and I was away. And so then it was like, they were at 7 and then they were at 15. And I was like, oh, I'll wait and see if they dip again and buy some. And just the time that I actually got around to buying one, they were 24. But my plan was always to maximize try to minimize my pain and my cope of not having the Proof Collective pass by buying the Moonbirds.
Yeah. Well, like, what is your, because one of the things I've been thinking about with it, and I said this last week, that obviously it's absurd that a fucking pixelated owl is worth 100,000, but like clearly this market is very hungry to bet on teams they view as competent. And the bar in the space for competent teams is extremely low. Like, and Yuga is kind of everyone's North Star, and people look at Kevin Rose in Proof on paper and say, I think they could execute at a similar level, if not better level of competence than Yuga with this kind of capital, with his kind of connections. And so the money is just flocking there accordingly, almost as if everyone's pricing Moonbirds relative to the Bored Ape projects.
Well, I think that's kind of like the nature of this stuff as well. So like things get repriced really quickly when you have like, when something has already done it, I guess. And so it was like, you started with punks, and punks were at whatever price they were. And it became like a lot easier as the momentum for Bored Apes picked up. It became a lot easier to be like, well, punks were 25 ETH and now they're 50 ETH. Why can't Bored Apes be 20 ETH? And then like, eventually all of a sudden it was, oh, well, Bored Apes flipped punks. Why couldn't something else flip punks? And so it's like kind of the narrative, as long as there's like a narrative of like, why couldn't this be the next one? And that's like a realistic narrative that you can tell yourself. It really, really seems to expedite the process. But like, it also means that the falls are like really fast. And I think you can see that with like Cool Cats or something, where it was like, oh, why can't Cool Cats be the next Bored Apes? And then it's like, oh, well, they're not executing that well. They're having trouble with their token and with releasing the game. Like, maybe they're not going to be the next Bored Apes. And then you move on to the next thing, because like I think a lot of the value that a lot of these are getting is like, why can't this be the next thing that's worth this much? And you see it with like Azuki, but like Azuki hasn't done anything to, I'd say, like fuck up yet. So they still have like kind of sitting, and the next time something big happens that they do, we'll probably either see them go up a lot or go down a lot, based on whether or not people decide that like this was a perceived good thing that they did. But yeah, the speed at which Moonbirds went from a 2.5 ETH sale to a 40 ETH floor was like, it should have been a sign. I should have sold my Moonbird.
Yes, there was euphoria. And then Jack,
but at what point was there a sign though? You know, like when it went from 2.5 to 7 to 20, when I was telling Pete to sell, like that probably felt like a sign, you know, if they had dipped from there, but they doubled.
Yeah. I think the like actual inflection point was when nesting came out. I think like almost always those events are either like no one is prepared for it, and then like the market quickly corrects afterwards. I think that is like what we kind of saw with Ape token before this land sale, where it's like everyone knew that it was going to be priced in Ape, but then when they said it was going to be priced in Ape, they were like, oh, I need Ape tokens. It's like, yeah, no shit. We've been talking about this for weeks that it's going to be priced in Ape and you'll need Ape tokens. But like, I think this one, everyone knew that it was coming, and it was kind of like this guiding light thing of like, the same thing was like waiting for the playoffs for NBA Top Shot or something, where it's like, oh, this thing is going to happen. And then the market liquidity is going to suck up and everyone's going to do this thing. And it's like, if everyone is waiting for that, for like the moon moment, then it's probably not going to happen. That's probably not going to be what ends up playing out, because there's some non-trivial amount of people who just are waiting for that point to sell. And if like, and then what ends up happening is those people start trying to sell when that moment happens. And everyone who was like expecting that to be a thing that makes the project go up only, and now sees it going down, it's like, wait, why is it going down? And then you don't want to buy because you're like, what's going on? Why is it going down? Wasn't this supposed to be the thing that makes it go up and to the right? And so it's like a weird market dynamic.
Yeah, because I was interrogating my own thoughts on it too. And it was like, I knew everyone was having the same thoughts as well, where it was like, oh, I'll just hold for now until nesting, and then there'll be a squeeze and the price will go up, because but everyone was thinking along the same lines, and anyone who was already planning to sell, you know, was already going to list anyways before that happened. So I don't know. But then there was the whole thing with this Ryan Carson figure, who was for a very short period the COO of Moonbirds. Jack, did you follow the fall and rise of Ryan Carson?
I saw that. I saw what happened briefly, but was that why Moonbirds sold off a little, or those two were kind of uncorrelated?
Well, there was some direct correlation. I mean, Deez literally said, "I'm selling a Moonbird every single time Ryan Carson tweets about the price." This was kind of the first
How
red
many did
flag.
D's have?
I think Deez had loaded up. He had like 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah, I think he had like 7 or something.
So yeah, so initially this guy Ryan Carson had kind of positioned himself as the most vocal person on Twitter, at least in real time, about the project, and he was doing what are considered kind of big no-nos, I think, for project founders, tweeting about floor price, some of the more superficial optics with stuff, and everyone started getting a little queasy. Lots of rumors going around of like, hey, the biggest risk to Moonbirds right now is Ryan Carson. You had big influencers like Deez dunking on him, saying, "I'm selling, like I don't want to be a part of this." And then this all culminated the other day with, I believe it was this tweet. This might be the follow-up tweet, but he goes, "The site for 121G, my NFT fund, is now live. I've been blown away by the interest with 80 plus folks." I think there was a tweet before this, but he basically announced that he was starting a fund immediately after Moonbirds raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and everyone was like, Ryan Carson has to go.
Yeah, and he got kicked, right?
Yeah, well, so I have no real inside info on this. I had gotten decently bad vibes from the way that he was acting for a while. I don't know. Something about it was just kind of weird. My personal theory is that this had been in the works for a while and it wasn't like completely agreed upon that this was going to happen. And Ryan kind of like front ran the announcement of like that Ryan is stepping down. And that's why all this drama started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there was so much blowback that then I missed a spaces. I'd gone to bed. Apparently Kevin Rose did a spaces at like 12:30 a.m. East Coast time. It must have been Sunday night. And then Monday did another spaces in the afternoon. And in Kevin Rose fashion, just the nicest body bag you'd ever heard. He was saying stuff like, "It's okay if he wants to go work on his little fun, but he's no longer going to be with us." Just like very kindly distancing himself from Ryan Carson. So yeah, it kind of blew my mind because people joke about what a great speaker Kevin Rose is. Like, he's very articulate, explains concepts in a very simplistic way, has an objectively soothing voice. And then you had this guy, Ryan Carson, who's firing off the most cringe tweets. And it just seemed completely opposite of kind of the brand and aesthetic that Kevin Rose had created and built for himself. So I think everyone was relieved to see Carson get the boot.
Tough.
Yeah, I think it's for the best for the project. And so like I think kind of like that, just the timing was really bad and all of that kind of stuff. I think like naturally it makes sense that the project dipped a little bit. It also just had such insane hype around it. Like it wasn't sustainable. The amount of liquidity that got sucked out of the market just from secondary trading fees alone was like insane. And so it's not surprising.
Yeah, so it, as of this time, it is down to a 26 ETH floor. I think it had kissed 40. I believe when we did the show last week, it was at like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, that can kind of lead us into, the new kind of big thing that is now at the center of the NFT universe, which is this big Yuga Labs land sale coming up. I believe it's Saturday, April 30th at noon. Andy, what's your take on this? It sounds like it's going to be priced in ApeCoin. It seems like everybody's loading up. This is the thing you had to have apparently gotten KYC'd for. What's your take on all of this?
Yeah, my one last thing on the Ryan thing is I'm really curious who the people are who are super excited to invest in his fund. That's good. I don't know. But I'll leave it at that. The Ape Land Sale is going to be really interesting. I have do we know? I think it's 100,000 NFTs.
That sounds right.
They're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, when the deck leaked, right? That was what everyone was saying. Was like
Yeah.
they had very ambitious land goals, and people were like, "This is even like not that they won't do it, because I'm sure they will, given that any bet on them has been successful." But yeah, I remember it being like $400 or $500 million
Okay, so
or
let's see.
something. Yeah,
70,000 pieces of land are being sold.
Have we
And
got? We haven't gotten the
selling
number, have we?
I thought it was one ETH, but I'm actually making that
It's
up.
going to be priced in Ape.
Yeah, it's gonna be priced in
Okay.
Ape. But I'm just gonna like, for the sake of general pricing, like it'll be priced in Ape, but it'll
Right.
still be
It'll
probably
be an
around
yeah.
some ETH pricing. So I mean, if they were to sell out for 1 ETH, that'd be what,
210 million.
200 million ish.
Yeah.
I think, like, what if they start this Dutch auction at like 5 ETH?
And then what if they refund anyone and then they lock it all in a contract?
I forgot about that.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they start the Dutch auction at 5 ETH, I mean, it's going at that price, right?
I don't know if there is $1 billion ready to buy
Yeah.
land. Like, just like think about that for a second. Think about how much fucking money that is. Like,
It's
I
like
just don't know if there's $1 billion
1/44
already.
of like what it would take to buy Twitter.
I mean, as someone who spent a week watching the Moonbirds price activity feed going 35 ETH buy, 4 minutes later, 37 ETH buy. I'm like, where the fuck is all this money? So I guess it doesn't surprise me in that regard. I mean, the volume was relentless for a week. It seems like I guess the argument would be that there was a lot of new VC money heading in for that Kevin Rose shit. But why wouldn't the VCs be interested in the Yuga land sale as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think they could probably do $500 million. I think at some point the retail money to buy your land tokens dries out, especially the KYC'd retail land money. That's the other thing, is the only people who can participate in this have KYC'd themselves.
Yeah.
We have no idea. I don't think we know the numbers of how many people have done that. I didn't do it. I tried. I couldn't get they wouldn't accept my license pictures. So I don't know.
Yeah, what is your kind of macro take on that as far as just KYCing stuff in general? Obviously, that's kind of antithetical to a lot of the stuff in the crypto space, and I think it's still unclear why did the Ape Land have to be the impetus for KYC, but not Ape token itself? I guess I don't get it.
I think this is their first massive sale where they are really, really, really in the public spotlight. Like the last sale they did was Mutants, which was when? I don't even remember. I don't know. I've blacked it all out at this point. August? Something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember.
And the landscape was really different back then. And I don't know. I think in general, I'm probably a little bit... I think people give founders of crypto projects too much of a hard time. And I know I'm biased because I am one. But like, when Uniswap removes like a token from their front end and people are like, wow, there goes decentralization. They removed this token. It's like, yeah, Hayden just doesn't want to go to jail. He doesn't want to go to jail for your shitcoin that's on his site. Like, it's not worth it for him. You can still trade those tokens like using whatever other front end you want. And so for me, like, I think if they were in some way gating like all transfer of these things to KYC people, I'd feel differently than I do. But if it's just like, hey, listen, you have to KYC for the sale because like we've talked to a lot of lawyers and they said this is what you really should be doing, there's a lot of like regulatory scrutiny on your company right now, then like, sure, some people aren't going to participate and you probably won't make the most money possible. Like, there's no way Yuga wants to do this. They will make less money than if they didn't KYC. That's just like a fact.
And I think this is the issue that Fran's bringing up too. They've been very opaque about their exact needs for KYC.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really the issue. I took issue with them just posting a random website and saying, hey, KYC on this website for fun. Why not? I thought that was like super not cool. And like, I think saying why exactly they need it is kind of obvious. Yeah, agreed. Especially with all the issues they've had already with, it's not really their fault, but issues with security and stuff. Sometimes also, it's a little hard. Sometimes with legal stuff, you can't necessarily say, you can't just like always tell the general public exactly why you have to do something if there's like an actual legal reason why you have to. It doesn't always work that way.
Can't you just buy off secondary non-KYC though? So
yeah, it's who they're accepting money from.
Right. So
I guess they don't want like Al Qaeda to buy $100 million worth of Bored Ape metaverse land.
Yeah, Al Qaeda passed on Moonbirds, waiting for Yuga. Andy, do you ever see the the froth around some of these A-team projects, Azukis, Yuga, Moonbirds, and be like, I should have just become a dev and founded my own NFT project instead of a NFT tool?
I think it's so different. I mean, like, yes, a part of me is like, oh man, that seems kind of easy, but it's really, really different. Like, yeah, those people they're beholden to a totally different set of users and like expectations than what fractional is. Like, I don't really, outside of if there's an issue on fractional site or something where like we have to help someone or something, no one's ever bugging me about the floor price of things. Like, that's just like not a part of my day-to-day life. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I bet.
Different things like that. Like, I think there definitely there are a lot of challenges there. I will say, like, I do think that it's really cool to see how all this stuff is like growing into a brand and like this like evolution of what it means to like be a tech company in Web3. I think like that's where I think this stuff is the most interesting, especially with what Yuga and Proof are doing. More so, like Azuki, to me, at least seemingly so far, they're not building tech. They're building like a cool streetwear culture brand thing. But like with Yuga wanting to build, metaverse stuff, and Proof has talked about some like more techie stuff they want to build. I'm really fascinated by the idea of like, what does it mean to like bootstrap your company when everything is very, very forkable in the world? Like, what does it mean to bootstrap your company and like build a moat for yourself by using NFTs and like building community, like positive community sentiment and like a feeling of being a part of something bigger than just like whatever platform you're using through NFTs, and basically using that as a way to like fund building a product. It's crazy. It's so interesting because they're like fundraising massive amounts of money without selling any equity to the people they're fundraising from, just by selling these products and then be like, hey, we'll probably give you more products in the future. But like they're not promising anyone that. They're just like, yeah, maybe you'll get some other products when we make those because you bought our other ones. And just like building like brand loyalty. I think that stuff is very interesting. Fractional doesn't have like any immediate plans to do anything, but it's something I would like definitely want to stay open-minded to, because I think like it's one of the better ways to build community for a project, whether it's like a tech project or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, Kevin Rose isn't dumb. There's a reason he did Pixelated Owl PFP project as like the vehicle for, running Proof like a business in this next thing. Like, he knows what the market wants, and the market still really enjoys PFP projects that have rarities and that are, fun to have as profile pictures. Like, that's still at its most simplest form. The fact that he was able to raise millions of dollars under that guise is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, like, think about how crazy it is. I don't know if Proof took private funding or whatever, but they basically went, if they wanted to, they went from a couple people who made like a collective on Discord. And obviously they have a massive name behind it that really helped bolster this at the start. They raised a couple $1 million selling some NFTs, saying, hey, you'll get into a private Discord. We're going to throw some events. We're going to teach you about how crypto works. Make sure you're able to protect your seed phrase, learn about interesting drops, maybe try to get you on some white lists because we have good connections. And we're going to make like a PFP project, and you'll get that in the future. And now they've raised $100 million, and they can be whatever type of tech company they want. And they've sold zero equity in their company. They are still complete owners of whatever they're building. It's just like a totally different way to bootstrap how you do things. I don't think it's like massively sustainable. And for 99% of projects who don't execute very well, it'll probably like crash and burn, or people just won't give a shit about it. But for the ones who do it very well, like Yuga and Proof have, it's really cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of fucked up. Like, you think of the valuations for Yuga, for Proof, Moonbirds and stuff, and it's like this implicit trust in the team that you're going to eventually deliver utility or value, like on this level, which is a massive, massive ask. And then on the flip side, any project that doesn't have that kind of froth, everyone's demanding it. And then you see these projects getting out ahead of themselves with having to promise stuff like, yeah, we're going to give you a game. We're going to give you this. And then they're rushing things out and not realizing how hard it is to do. And then they're not executing. It sounds like Cool Cats is a bit of an example of that. Something just catch your eye, Andy?
John Morant just had an absolutely insane dunk.
Wow. You're right. Did you catch this live, Jack?
No, I hate John Morant. He's killing me right now.
Frank does bring up a good point. The Proof did end up taking 10 mil from Alexis Ohanian, and from a strategic partnership sense.
Yeah,
obviously Kevin doesn't need his money.
I sent the dunk in the private chat, by the way.
Okay. All right. Let's check out this dunk.
I think it's worth pulling up.
Do you think?
Oh my God.
You think that'll catapult him into scoring 15 points in the fourth quarter?
It's a 3-2 lead in this opening round series. Morant.
Use hashtag NBA Top Shot this if you'd like to see this on an NBA Top Shot moment.
3-2 lead in this opening round series.
Good God, the cock back on that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Jeez. That was nice. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yes, I don't know, Jack, as being part of a project, do you have any other thoughts on these insane valuations, the pressure to deliver utility, all that stuff?
I listened to his podcast with Bankless. I'm not familiar with Bankless, but it seems like they clearly have a good thing going on. And yeah, it was interesting. It sounded a little bit like founder talk. It sounded a little bit like he's trying to avoid the floor price, saying he doesn't check it, like the Proof Collective one. And I think it's just tough to believe that, like, knowing that we track that stuff closely. Like, how could you avoid it? And, you know, he's almost at the point of saying, like, I'd rather it be at a 20th floor than 40 because of expectations. And, like, that's the thing. When you look at these memberships or these utility styled NFTs, like, then when you start to reason, like, okay, is this worth $100,000? Similar, I guess, to VeeFriends to a degree. Like, what were you getting from VeeFriends? Okay, you're continuing to get value, but is it ever going to catch up to, you know, when it got to $60,000? And I think that's what's interesting about Bored Ape. It's why I liked CryptoPunks, because, you know, Punks, you were measuring it as a collectible. And I think Moonbirds and Proof Collective, you're not measuring it as such. VeeFriends, same thing. And that's where it gets really tough. Mike, God bless Mike if he was here. But if he was here, you know, he makes that point about Top Shot all the time. The second, like Jennings was always talking about, right? Like, well, what about League Pass and Courtside? And like, those are fun things that I think, but they have to just be like bonuses, and they can't be related to what you actually get. You need the Top Shot moment to be a collectible, and that's the last thing that Top Shot moments are these days. So that's my thoughts on Moonbirds. I told you I thought you should sell. But hey, you still have a few more ETH to go before I look like I'm correct. But overall, like, I get it. I like the point of measuring them against Bored Apes, right? Like Kevin Rose versus Yuga. You know, Kevin Rose has built I hadn't heard of Dig, but you guys explained it and I've heard more about it. And it sounds like that, he built a legitimate company. So there's value there too. But yeah, once it falls out of the collectible range, it's very tough. That's why I think Azuki is interesting because, like Andy was saying, their next big announcement, it might run it up or it actually might kill it. Like if they say, hey, we're going to do this, and it's like, well, now you're not just a cool lifestyle, NFT brand, you actually have to deliver on this. So yeah, as it pertains to Knights, it's something that we have a huge meeting about tomorrow. We're doing like a offsite full day thing because we don't really know what we're framing our project as right now. Is like, I think if you'd ask a lot of people in the NFT space who's actually delivering like real life things, like we have a real football team, we have equity in a soccer team, like we have poker nights, like we have like really cool things from a membership perspective, but from a collectible aspect, like that's the last thing we push. And so that's kind of reflected in our floor price. So yeah, I think that's the big difference in NFTs.
And you see it like one project. I have one of the Boss Beauties NFTs, and I think at one point they were up to like a 3 or 4 ETH floor, and they've had just a relentless wave of announcements, partnerships with Rolling Stones. They were in the fucking United Nations and stuff. And it's like, it hasn't helped the floor. And it's almost like now the users are conditioned to being like, when the next announcement, there was always the tease that they were going to like have a Marvel character, and everyone's like, when the Marvel thing. It's like, it doesn't even help. Like they just keep coming out, and now they feel like they're just having to feed people these utility announcements or partnership announcements nonstop, and it just feels exhausting.
Yeah. No, that's what we're going through. And I think a lot of people, and I think one of the things that I'll talk to our team about tomorrow is like, should we get rid of the people who are in Knights to see a 100x gain? Because that's what a lot of people are in NFTs for, right? Are we comfortable with saying, like, if we get to a 1 ETH floor and we have 8,000 unique holders, like that's a really solid membership in sports and entertainment. Obviously, the second you say that, though, then people are like, oh, well, I don't want to be in this. That's not actually why I'm in this project. It's just to see some crazy return. So I think it's all about balancing that, delivering expectations. And yeah, NFT world is fucking crazy.
Well, and I will give Kevin Rose a little bit of credit of being maybe naive on how well the project was going to do, because in more words or less, he was like, Ryan Carson was fit to be the COO for, a Moonbird 5 ETH floor project, but he is not fit to be the floor for a 40 ETH Moonbird project. And he even said, like, this used to be something he was doing on the side. I think he put a percentage to it and said this was like 30% of his time. Yeah. And now he's kind of leaving his venture fund. He's going to do that as his nights and weekends thing. And he's going to do proof in Moonbirds full time, because he's just like, I think he called it like it was funny. He goes on the podcast, he says opportunities like this only come around every 6 or 7 years. I was like, yeah, Kevin, for everyone, these come around every 6 or 7 years. But it did seem like it legitimately even took him off guard, into the point he was like, oh, wow, I do really have to devote more time to this now. Let's see here. Speaking of kind of like utilities, projects, Yuga, all of this, did you guys catch this tweet from Gordon here earlier? Took my first week off in forever. Found myself writing out ideas for Meebits NFTs utility the entire time. Big thing. I read that sentence very weird. Big things take time. Jesus. But the whole team is really excited to start working on Meebits when the other side launch is through. Andy, what do you think about this? I know you had your quote retweet that punks were down bad, but this was a pretty interesting tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I don't know, like, if they're building a metaverse game and Meebits are like a metaverse ready NFT asset, like, oh yeah, why wouldn't they do something? I think I guess it'll be interesting to see how all of the different things kind of fall, like what they all fall into, what they end up actually being. It's really hard to know. I don't really know what to expect or what to think. Like, what does doing something for Meebits really even mean? You know,
Yeah.
like is it, yeah, you can play with them in the game, or is it like a Meebits token, like Ape token, or is it, something else? I really have no idea. Don't really know what to expect there.
To me, with all this stuff, right, it's never even like it's like I don't even know what the fucking Bored Ape Land is going to be. It's always like the intent behind it. So it's interesting to me just that they're thinking about ways to fold Meebits into their roadmap and what they devote attention to. And by not saying it, the assumption is they're not touching CryptoPunks, which both make sense, but is still interesting to kind of unpack why would be the reasons they wouldn't touch punks, but they feel comfortable messing with Meebits.
Yeah. Well, I think like there's kind of two parts of that, right? It's like one, they put them in this like really fortunate position where they can basically be like, they kind of have complete control over whether or not punks would ever flip apes again at this point.
Yeah,
they like
100%.
And I don't think they would ever want that. And so they can basically go, we're just going to let punks be. They're this historical artifact of PFPs. Yeah. And that's great. That's what all the holders want. And it's like, that's not true. That's not what everyone wants, but they can say it and like, it's fine. And it also like kind of puts them in this position where like, if in 5 years, it seems like that's the narrative where punks would actually look like they're going to flip apes, you can just like change the narrative you on the punks IP. I don't know. I think that they're just in this position where there's no world where Meebits flip Bored Apes. Like that's just not a thing that would ever happen. Unless they were like, we don't care about Bored Apes anymore. It'd be impossible. But like there is a world where punks do, and even though they own both, it could be like net negative for their brand. And so I just don't think they have very much incentive to do anything with them anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing of just that out of, they can always point to, the initial punks owners argument being like, we like punks because they're just collectibles and they have that narrative and there's nothing else involved. But it's like that, I feel like the narrative has inherently shifted once acquired by Yuga. And now it's like, well, what makes Yuga so valuable is their ability to derive utility for the holders of their projects. And so now to like section off punks from that, utility infrastructure seems unfortunate, but I get why they would do that too. Because like you said, they don't want to send punks screaming up into the Bored Ape range again. That would be a very weird optic thing for them. All right. Speaking of roadmaps and things changing, did you guys catch the Top Shot with their Series 3 announcement, basically kind of shutting down any new supply coming out the rest of this year?
So I saw that it happened. I honestly didn't have a chance to read it too much or anything, so I'll let you guys take this one.
Yeah, Jack, did you catch this?
I read through it briefly. They like shut supply, but I don't know. I thought it was a non-mover. I guess good for them for pivoting. I don't know. What'd you think? I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm almost done with Dapper at this point. Like it's just, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Like all day, same thing. Top Shot. Like, what does it mean that they're cutting it? Like they're still releasing a ton of playoff stuff as they should.
A lot of the stuff is now only going to be available through trade ticket stuff, but a lot of these like 60,000, edition moments, they just decided to cut it off. I mean, from a macro thing, it goes back to that whole thing where it's like they're listening to what people are saying. Everybody's been complaining about supply for the past few months, but then it goes back to this whole like reactive versus proactive thing. And this is even using the word roadmap as you reacting to your community yelling at you doesn't feel like it adds up.
I just don't understand. It's just like everything they've said was we're building this for 100 years and we expect people to come in. So why would you do this? Like what? That's what I don't even I'm not excited about this. I'm actually annoyed by it. Like, stick to your guns, or at least come up with a reason why. Like, let's see, when we rolled out our content, we introduced new sets to expand our storytelling capability. So we have decided to make, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It was weird. There was like an eeriness almost to some of the recent announcements of like, there will be no pack drops this week. It was like this tumbleweed type feeling of almost like this defeated attitude in a sense with this of like, we've been trying this thing. It's clearly not working. And we're now going back to the drawing board. And I will say just some of the Twitter sentiment that was coming across my feed last week. I mean, it was starting to run up even higher. Like people wondering like, does Dapper need to clear house? Kind of thing. Like I just even noticed a sentiment shift even far greater than we'd seen when people had been disgruntled previously.
Well, that I think it's less about price now, and it's less. I mean, once again, these are friends, like people that I know, people that I've spent time with. So I don't want to, it to be personal, but I think part of what we do on this show is like evaluate all these projects, right? Like we're talking about Ryan Carson. We're talking about like people can talk about me when it comes to Knights, right? Like, that's just how this stuff works. And one day when Andy releases his profile picture, like I'll FUD the shit out of the floor. But in terms of Dapper, it's just like, and maybe it's more personal for me. Like we've had contact with Dapper through Snapback, which is very different than what we do on the show. And like they're adding 100 people a week, and we're like, we can bring you thousands of users, and for 3 weeks, like just no interaction whatsoever. And now that's a very like selfish, segmented, personal experience. So maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but like, it's just stuff like that makes me wonder, like who is making decisions? Like, how does stuff get figured out? Once again, still in beta, obviously. And I think we talked about it 2 shows ago, like when's the last positive thing that's come from the platform? And yeah, just like, how do we not have bid system? I think that's coming in the playoffs, right? Everything in NFT world has had activity, even NBA association. Like people, like I guess what I'm saying is there's no reasoning or excuse that there can't be activity on the site. Like I'm watching every minute of the playoffs. I'm playing a game of fantasy skill on Underdog. Like, I don't know. I've checked the market, but then again, like last night, late at night, like I'm running through the market. I'm like, I actually do want to own these things. And I actually do think like there's value plays, because I think some of the really rare moments are super scarce. And like, how the fuck would a 50K of Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's literally going to be the best player ever, for like 30 grand is just worthless. And it doesn't have to do with the fact that you can't hold it. Like, it's just that the product has failed up until this point. So yeah, I would say I'm not like gonna do that thing where people are like, here's the mass here. Sorry, I'm reading Gabe Lore's comment. You believe you could bring thousands of users to the platform. What would you bring that they aren't doing? So, I mean, I don't know if this is, we're not under NDA or anything. So my proposal was, they're going to do affiliate soon, right? So you get someone to sign up, $10, maybe there'll be a promo code Pete. One kind of marketing vehicle that hasn't been used is actually our audience on Snapchat. Like, we have a ton of potential new collectors. It's why we signed a multi-year deal with Underdog. Like, we've shown that we can do this. And just up until this point, like, it doesn't make sense for us to promote Top Shot and onboard users. So our proposal was, instead of, taking and giving us $10 a user, like, make cool art around the same way they did the KD starter packs. Like, do a snapback pack, and we'll onboard, thousands of users onto the platform who are going to get their first NFT. We can create content about it. Like, we could do fun stuff. So that was what I had ideated. But the general idea is, like, they went to Durant, they went to Mahomes, and I mean, we have an agency for digital creators and influencers. Like, we know this shit. that stuff doesn't work. Like that's an awareness play, and they're suffering and they need actual users. And it's just like, is anyone thinking about this stuff? Like, give me $1 million budget. Like I will spend it on NBA influencers in the correct way. And like, you'll have thousands of different users. So I don't know what the disconnect is because they do listen clearly. But yeah, I think just frustration is my sentiment.
Yeah, I think frustration is a fair sentiment. You were actually very humble in your response to Gobbler. You could just say, I have 1 million followers on Snapchat and I have brought thousands of them to various platforms over the years, and I can do that with Top Shot.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. And that's why I was like, I don't know if this is just like a personal thing. I don't know if it's a like, something I shouldn't be sharing, but yeah, I don't know. It's pretty remarkable that like genuinely what I see, they add like 100 people a week. Like we add 100 people to Underdog today. Like that's nuts. Like that is absolutely nuts that and marketing is one, and they are partnered with Kevin Durant and they are doing these things. So that's where I guess I'm just confused.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say about that is everything you said makes sense to me, but it's almost like the problems with Top Shot go even bigger than just new user acquisition. It's like they have to serve their core customers right now to the point where I'm like, almost like scrap marketing altogether and just be like, can you deliver for this group of people that you have already onboarded? Because that's an issue, right? You get your couple thousand Snapchatters on here. Like, are they going to be happy? Are they going to have a fun experience? Like in the current environment? I think that's a legitimate question if they would have a good experience.
Yeah, no, it is. And that's always something we consider, which is why now I'm like pulling back a little. And the only reason why I still continue to be bullish on Dapper is because I still do believe like they can onboard at light speed, specifically for my audience, but for a general audience, like credit card sign up with credit card purchasing with email, like it is, and the pack opening is like a very relatable experience. You can do content around it. So at that level, yes. Are they going to have the stickiness, right? Like that. But people have stuck around and people have been their biggest fans even through the biggest bear markets ever. So there is stickiness, right now it's obviously a different product, but overall, like, we'll see.
Yeah. Mike says in 2 weeks, Jack is going to see Top Shot a game and wonder why they aren't giving him tickets to the concert. No, Jack's a quick learner, and he realized we're in a new meta now where you actually get rewarded for FUD'ing projects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Andy, any Top Shot thoughts?
Not really. I don't know. I haven't really been very active on the platform in a while. I think kind of like they're in a tough situation where it's like the people who genuinely like the NBA and think it's cool and want to be a part of Top Shot, they know, like, currently if you were to ask someone who's been active on Top Shot, if you bought a random moment on the site right now, do you think it'd be worth more or less in a year? They'd say less. Like basically anyone you ask, I'm pretty sure. And so then it's like this really shitty situation if it's like, oh, I think that's a cool moment, but I don't want to lose 50% of however much it costs over the next year, so I'm not going to buy it. And like, I don't know how they, eventually that bottoms out, and like, not everyone feels that way. But I don't know if there's just like a quick fix to make that happen. And so like, I think it was very smart of them to stop releasing new moments, or really, really cut back on that and how they do it, because you kind of need to stop if you want like the prices to stop going down. And if the prices for everything don't stop going down, then who is the next buyer? It's a really hard situation. I'm definitely not envious of them, but I certainly don't have any answers.
NBL would be proud of me because I actually made a purchase today, like a pure collectible purchase. It was on NFL all day. I had lined up for a few packs, but I hadn't like gotten a moment that I actually liked and wanted to hold for a while. And they got me because they had like you spend $50 in the marketplace, you get $25 back. So I was like, okay, I got to take advantage of this. But I got Jamar Chase rare, his first ever touchdown in the league.
Oh, nice.
Which, you know, for me, I know the quarterbacks traditionally are going to hold up a little better, but receivers for me are what is fun. And I do think Jamar Chase is going to go down probably as like one of the best wide receivers ever. And so I wanted like exposure to that from a collectible standpoint, like what I view as his rookie moment on the site. And I legitimately enjoyed the experience of collecting that. I'm not begging NFL all day for utility for my Jamar Chase moment. I just wanted to have that one. I wanted to have one good all day moment that I liked. And it was kind of just like a nice reminder that it, you know, to give MBL a shout out, it is kind of fun to just collect some things you like. Although when you're doing it on the scale that some people do, then it's worthwhile to kind of demand more from the platform who you've given a lot of money to.
That's where it's very tricky right now. Like I said, I'm looking at the market and I'm like, I do want to own this. Like I genuinely do. But like I bought a Tom Brady moment because I'm like, how the hell would I not buy a couple Tom Brady all day, like or whatever, first moment bet? And like I bought it at 383 and it's down to 300 in 10 days. It's like, give me any reason to buy. Like literally, why would you buy? You're literally saying I want to hemorrhage money. Like just wait a week. Just wait 1 week and you can buy it for cheaper and you can collect the same exact moment. So I think that's what's tough. And I don't even think I'll give them the excuse of like, they got to get back to those prices and they'll always be chasing that. Like no one's I don't think we've ever said like, expect your Ish Smiths to get back to that price, right? Like the top moments should get back to the platform will not be successful unless those top moments get back to what they originally sold for. Cause those aren't like ridiculous collectible sales. Like a Bored Ape sells every single day for almost twice the price of like the highest moment ever. Like there's just a crazy disconnect. And it doesn't have to do with KYC, right? We learned that this week. People were willing to KYC. It doesn't have to do with the fact that you can't use Ethereum. Like, think of all the excuses we gave them, right? Of like, yeah, it's too centralized. Okay, well, Bored Ape literally just KYC'd, you know, and they're going to sell $200 million and do more volume in 1 day than Top Shot's done in half a year. So a lot of those things like aren't true to where we used to think they were. So what is the problem? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I definitely don't envy, being in that position. But I just think that's the current state of it. But the one thing that'll always have me hanging on is like, I do think they're cool. I think someone wins. It's just always a question of like, will it be Dapper? They have the head start, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I still think that the end state of basketball and sports collectibles is NFTs and is on the blockchain. And so it's like, as long as that is the case and Dapper is still the largest one, like they're who I would want to bet on. It's just like a tough time to bet on anyone versus waiting and kind of watching the space evolve a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean,
for everyone in the chat, I'm not reading a teleprompter. My camera's here, but Pete and Andy are here.
If Jay Price is giving you props, then you earned it.
Jay Price and I go way back, but we've been friendly lately, so I appreciate that, Jay Price.
I mean, the chat alerted me to the fact that the Broncos re-signed Melvin Gordon.
I was going to tell you about that, but I wanted you focused.
No, I mean, come on. I've learned from you millennials here on how to multitask. I mean, good God. People were drafting Javonte Williams at the 1-2 turn. Just the saddest, roughest of scenes there. Speaking of a little fantasy football talk, our friends at Underdog, they're about to drop a tournament announcement here very soon. I think they might make it on the Thursday stream. And I believe the tournament will probably launch sometime next week. I got a little sneak peek. I mean, I saw some of the prizes, and let's just say it's going to be a very fun, hot scene.
I mean, it's fucking ice cold for the head of winning. Like throw your source guy a bone and let him source the prize pools. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Yes, I could.
Let's just say if you win BBM, whatever it's going to be called, you will be able to buy a Moonbird.
Yes, I mean, I hope you wouldn't be able to, because that would mean my bags are doing
Right.
very, very, very well. But yes, very excited for that to get announced. Very excited to start drafting some best ball teams again.
What's your strategy? When will you? Do you not max until the final week?
So I'll tell you what I would like my strategy to be, and then it's I don't hold me to it. In a perfect world, I would like to barbell it, where I draft a bunch early, where there's probably the most kind of inefficiency in the market coming off of the draft. You still see a lot of, that's where you can build super teams, and then draft the rest of them right before the season starts, because that's when we have the most information. And traditionally the highest scoring teams come from those last few weeks before the contest locks. Now, that was kind of easy to do last year because they had all the puppy drafts in the middle of the summer. Yeah. So it was like, oh, just blast off on these $5 drafts, barbell your BBM drafts. Now, depending on what their roadmap is for the smaller contests, if they don't have those drafts, of course, I'm going to just be drafting Best Fall Mania in July because I want to draft. But ideally, it would be barbelled and then do all the $5 tournaments in the heat of summer.
Lamar Jackson is going to win someone millions of dollars. You realize that, right? And that person's literally going to be me. And then I'm going to be able to fractionally buy half of a Moonbird by the time week 18 rolls around.
Yeah, Lamar is a fun dude to draft this year. I think he is like a little undervalued, at least to where he was going in those super flex drafts. I mean, I know they were all going in the first round, but I think you can make a pretty good case that he should be the QB3 off the board for fantasy.
Who is it? It's Allen. Is Allen one?
Allen and Mahomes, I still think, should probably be the first two, but then
Herbert been going 3, right?
Yeah, people have been
going
at
with 3 Herbert. Is so funny. And I'm sure Watson will go pretty high, or if he's not,
he's just contingent on what his
suspension
timeline is to return, right?
Yeah, I think people are worried that he could miss up to like 8 games. So you're going to need to get a breaking sources tweet.
I'm actually surprised that Lance isn't going the 1-1 based off what he went last year.
Dude, that's the next domino to draw. First, it's Melvin Gordon back, and it's going to be Kyle Shanahan being like, Jimmy G's our quarterback this year. Yes, randomizers will be coming back. I need a little bit more time. I want to add some production value to the show this year. So I have some things I'm working on. So it might not be quite as early as it was last year, but yes, there will be a randomizer. Season 3, Jack can make a return appearance. Maybe Andy. Andy, would you like to get in the randomizer streets?
Yeah, you gotta.
I'll get in there. I'll mess around.
Pete, your randomizer with Andy is like, okay, buy an NFT for 100 ETH or draft James White in the 3rd round.
Well, it would have been you have to pierce your nose, otherwise draft that. We could have done like a big reveal, but Andy already blew that one.
Yeah,
I didn't get the memo on that.
Have your parents heard about the nose piercing?
No, I don't think so.
Did we break the news here on the show?
I don't know.
Are they bullish or bearish?
Bullish or bearish?
For the record, I have siblings with many more piercings, and so they'll get over it. They found out about my first tattoo on an Instagram post, so they're used to it.
Yes, it is. Hot girl summer is definitely here. Hot best ball summer. Hot girl summer, Moonbird summer, all the summers, nesting summer.
I do want to not to stop talking about underdog code Pete, code Andy, but the Aku stuff. I'm a huge fan of Micah. Like, I think he's a legitimate superstar. I've known about his stuff for a year. If you check my activity, yes, I did sell a chapter 3 for like half the price like 2 months ago for absolutely no reason. So, like I said, worst NFT trader of all time. But I think the Akutars are sick. They've got it's a hilarious, right? It's another hilarious example of like they partnered with Puma, like I mean, you can. Who were the other ones? Like, some ridiculous partnerships, and like those things have done nothing but go down. And I don't think it has anything to do with the contract lockup. I think if anything, that's actually bullish for me, them losing 34 million and being like, we're fine, like we'll still refund, we'll still figure it out.
Yeah, maybe we should back up a little bit for people who aren't quite aware, and then I think I would love to hear Andy's take on what happened with that contract situation. But Jack, give people like the quick overview on Micah and Aku and the hype that there was.
Yeah, so Micah Johnson is a former major league pitcher. I think he only played a few years in the league, and then when he retired, he became like an artist. And Aku is this character, I believe, I'm like 99% sure. Like his niece was like, I want to be an astronaut. So he thought that was really cool because, little black girls don't necessarily have aspirations to be astronauts. It's like, I guess maybe a more white boy type thing. But he created this character. And like, I talked to him a year ago because he had done a Snapchat filter, and like, they pretty much had a deal to make a movie, and he decided, you know what, like this content, this IP is like, I want it to be ours. I want it to like grow and do. He has crazy aspirations for it. He genuinely thinks that like this is going to be whatever, SpongeBob for kids or a Disney character level type IP. And yeah, he's just building some sick ass shit. I think the avatars are cool. Yeah, like Pusha T, Billionaire Boys Club, Puma. I just think they're really, really cool. And then obviously Andy can speak on what happened with the contract. I still, to this day, blockchain, crypto, I got it. But like the fact that there's just $34 million sitting somewhere definitely hurts. But I guess that's the love of the game, right? That's like why we love crypto, is because no matter what, the code is the law.
Yeah. So explain to people, or Andy, I assume you're up on this story.
I am somewhat familiar, but I haven't had a chance to like really dig into the technicals of what happened on this one.
I think, as I understood it, and then maybe you can elaborate on it, they kind of wanted to, in an act of good faith, like lock up the funds to show people like, we're not touching this, we're committed to the project. And then they messed it up in the contract, and it was in like a spot then that they could never retrieve it from, was how I understood it. And so what was it, Jack? 34 million that was just gone forever.
Yeah. So they did a thing where if you held a mint pass, it was like a Dutch auction, and then whatever it sold out at, you got a half ETH off. And so if you bought, an Akatar for 3 and it sold for 2.5, they were going to refund you half an ETH. And like, they just had a bunch of different call options in the code. And when they like went, then someone found an exploit and was like, hey, fix this. They went to fix it, and then they actually like closed off the remaining of the funds. Yeah, it's in this thread.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And then it seemed like they clearly had not done their diligence with the contract, hadn't audited it enough. But Jack, to your point, at least from what I'd seen, obviously there was some blowback initially, but it seemed like the community was like really rallying around Micah. Like people weren't going to bury him for this.
Yeah. Cause that's what it is. Like he's the man, and they trust in him. So yeah, that's like, this will probably be the first NFT I buy in like 6 months. Like I don't buy NFTs really. I think they're all stupid, but I really do like this one.
Wow. Jack FUD'ing his own project again.
No, not my own project. Just every project.
Every other non-one. Yes. Yeah. It's just like, it's hilarious that there's so much crazy shit, even in the NFT world alone, that I had even forgotten about that story until you mentioned it. And that was like one of the big, like in another industry, that would have been the biggest story of like the year. It's just like, and
Right.
now it's just like, whatever, just
Right.
another drop of the bucket. Andy, there were some people in the chat, a couple people, and you had mentioned the Optimism thing that was interesting to you to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Optimism is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. They've been around for forever. They announced their token, like kind of first airdrop and the token in general today. They're doing really, really cool stuff. So their whole thing is they're really focused on like public goods and like charity and funding open source development. Also, this basketball game is really good. And so their token airdrop is whatever, they're airdropping 5% of the total supply at some point in the future. They plan to have multiple airdrops. They want to have more airdrops in the future to reward users, which I think is smart. But what I think is cool is they're giving like almost 20% of the total supply to funding public goods, which would be like open source software, developer tooling, maybe like carbon offsets, things like that. And then they also are like experimenting with basically like creating some sort of infrastructure in the DAO to like vote in new people into the DAO who don't necessarily have Optimism tokens. And so like a mechanism to basically like add community members to be able to vote and govern how the system works and what they're doing without necessarily having to have like economic incentive tied into their votes, which I think is really interesting. I haven't had a ton of knowledge on like what that means. I haven't had the time to look too much, but I think it's really cool. It should start an interesting kind of attempt into like layer 2 tokens and kind of the mechanism incentivization games that'll come with that of, what happens when Optimism starts liquidity mining on their chain, and do people leave Arbitrum and go to Optimism? Do they go back when Arbitrum launches their token? Is this going to speed up Arbitrum's process or any of the other tokens processes? I don't really know. But it should be interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, we just missed the best basketball game of the entire playoffs. Morant scored 17 in the fourth, and then Edwards tied it with 3 seconds left on a 3. But hey, content is king.
You're saying that as if I don't have the game open on my other monitor.
I mean, I always talk about this with Brian Hooper when I do LOLs. We need to. The next wave of like media is like we should be able to have the game up on this stream, and people will have the game on mute or whatever. We're chopping it up, and everybody can watch the stream. We can talk about the game. Like, how would that not be a net win for leagues to allow people to basically hand pick their play-by-play announcers or whatever for these games, as opposed to if I already got the video probably taken down and demonetized for showing a 4-second clip of Ja Morant murdering someone. Hang on, I'm now getting tips, although Canadian dollars, I don't know if those count. We have Andrew who very nice gold burb.
Did you
Andrew,
just say I don't know if those count? Send them to Babs. Uniswap them with Babs. Uniswap them with Babs.
You want to talk about a diamond hander right here? Andrew has a nest of like 6 burbs, including this gold one, and still has a proof pass.
What?
I don't know what Kevin Rose is saying in there, but apparently it's worth 145 ETH.
Oh, did Ja just win it? Oh, he did. Wow.
And Jordan, very nice of you to send $5. You're going to be very disappointed with our answers to this question. Any interest in UFC Strike, Dapper's UFC leg? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. I've lined up for a couple of the pack drops. I think I tailed someone on buying a moment. I think the concept of moments for UFC is cool. I think knockouts lend itself to it, but to be completely honest, I have not spent a lot of time on the platform.
Same. UFC for me is not something I really follow. It's like, oh, there's a big fight on, I'll watch it. I couldn't tell you who the 10 best UFC fighters are. But like, I enjoy watching it when it's on. I think I agree with you. Like, I think it lends itself very nicely to the format of like the highlight collectibles. I'm not the target demographic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, and correct me if I'm wrong, if someone knows who's into the UFC strike, like they don't have the infrastructure quite like Top Shot right now where they can spin up a moment like right after it happens. I feel like being able to capitalize on an incredible knockout in a marquee fight and having that up right away is probably going to be pretty important for their success long term.
Have you guys gone on strike yet?
I have. Yeah.
That product is real crappy.
Yeah.
Like that's like very clear with what's lacking with that. If you told me UFC Strike was in beta, I would say absolutely. I will come back in 6 months and this will be cool. I'll buy McGregor's and all those guys. That's definitely the worst product, which I get the separation of states, but I don't understand. Why do they use different, like why, Andy, would you know why like that would be the case?
I have no idea.
It almost feels like they spent all that time, energy, money on building like a really strong product in Top Shot.
Yeah.
Can't believe, I just said that. But and then why would they like seemingly build it from scratch? I don't get it.
Yeah, agreed. I don't get it either.
Yeah. Yeah, all three of the sites feel different. Which, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Is ETH 2.0 price? Is ETH 2.0 a thing, or is that like when everyone teases their metaverse is coming, but it actually won't come for like 10 more years?
Well, I assume he's referring.
I hope it's a thing.
To proof of stake change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty. I mean, ETH has been like stuck in this 3,000 range for a long time now, it seems.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a very choppy last couple months. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think in general of like the markets are getting smashed, and obviously crypto will tend to follow that? Do you think we're in like we could see a serious issue? Rates are hiking. These are just things I read on Twitter. I don't know anything about it. I'm just spinning.
To be honest, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really not my like area of expertise.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, I try not to really pay attention to that stuff just because to me it's mostly just going to be noise. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So much for that. We're all hoping for that narrative that once everyone paid their taxes, everything was going to shoot back up.
Right.
And that was certainly not the case. I'm trying to check my notes here on other stuff I wanted. Oh yeah, Jack, how was the Knights game? I saw you were recruiting TO to the
yeah, we're trying to recruit Terrell Owens. It was fun. So I went down last year for season 1 when I owned the Wild Aces, and it was cool. It was in like an indoor soccer lacrosse arena, so still like decent seating. There were no fans because it was COVID, but really cool. This year they like hand built, custom made like this whole facility, which was really, really, really cool. I think the best description is like it's Las Vegas. Like picture, what football times Vegas would look like in like a smaller environment, dark lights, loud music, a lot of, alcohol, at least for myself. Knights won, we dominated. That was great. And yeah, it's definitely a really cool event. I'll continue to say it. Like, I don't have any interest in the USFL or the XFL because those feel like, minor leagues. I don't follow them closely enough to like feel like I could bet on them or have an edge in, DFS. So I just think like they're at a massive disadvantage. FCF, maybe biasly, like at least has a chance to do its own thing. It's creative and it's, not trying to compete. Like they got Terrell Owens to play in a game. His triceps are like were probably the most outstanding part of the entire weekend. Like that is the most fit 48-year-old man I've ever seen. Johnny Manziel, I don't think he's making an NFL comeback, but like he still got it. he just has no interest in playing football. Like he sat out the first 2 series, and then, you know, he came in, he scored a touchdown, played a little, but like he's there to drink, like, and get paid, which is just so funny. You can kind of see now how his career's played out, why the way it did. But yeah, it was fun. Atlanta was fun. It was cool to, like, once again see our project have a football team. I was hanging out with Gutter Cat. That's who we were playing. I didn't know. Do you know Jamal Anderson, Falcons' old running back?
Oh
Pete?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So apparently he was a stud. I think he was on their Super Bowl team.
I was gonna say I remember him when the Broncos played the Falcons in '98. I think he was.
He
the running back.
invented the Dirty Bird.
Dirty
I want to
Bird.
say. Yeah, that was his dance. So I mean, you know, I'm a little younger than him, so I actually hadn't heard of him, but he's part of their ownership group. And then I was hanging out with a couple of the Gutter Cat gang, and, you know, we made a bet. Loser had to buy the other's NFT. We smashed them. So we got a new night holder.
Dude, honestly, because you have so many of those NFT things, that should be a standing mayoral, like, sweep the floor bet that if you lose, you have to sweep come up with the fun number.
No, yeah,
like
team. each team's treasury should have, like, there should be a $5,000 bet, which is like an ETH and a half on each game. I totally agree. Like, I think that makes it so much more interesting.
Yeah. The Dirty Birds are what I call the Moonbirds when the floor is down.
and when it's up, right?
Yeah. We're down so bad, you know, 26th floor. I thought the pot shot at the USFL was unnecessary, but I agreed with everything else you said.
I apologize.
Anything else on your guys' mindset? We've covered a lot of ground. I think all the notes that I had jot down of things that happened, but anything else? I know some of the DeFi bros were in the chat. Andy asking if there's anything else on your radar these days.
Honestly, not that much. There's not that much going on. It feels like kind of just.
I unstaked my sushi.
About a year after staking it.
Yeah, what the fuck? Sushi's like, what, $2 a token? That was crazy when I saw that. So like I definitely broke even on, you know, locking my multiple Ethereum up over the course of a year. But it's nice. It's actually funny. That's why Price and I are like buddy again, because I couldn't find it. Like, I literally could not find my sushi. I thought I was gonna have to get my pad thai back, and Andy was gonna have to walk me through unstaking it. But we finally got it. That's why I want to buy an Akatar.
That's why. That's always one of my biggest fears too. And I actually did like a sweep where I tried to put everything in a spreadsheet because I was like, I'm for sure gonna forget that I have like money.
There's
in
good
these
tools.
Arbitrum, Treasure World mines.
If you have your wallets, there's good tools you just connect it to, and it tells you everything you have. It was so helpful.
Well, I feel like I've used what is it, Zapper for that, but I feel like it doesn't have everything.
Yeah, maybe not.
I feel like some of the stuff that you have to bridge over to other chains, it doesn't have.
See, like, that's fucked up. Like, Andrew, I sold him a Zed horse, which was probably a glue horse too. Like, you couldn't hit me back in the DMs. Like, you should get a Proof Collective. Like, here's a free Moonbird. Like, just out of respect for like welcoming you into the NFT. You know, I'm happy for you, Andrew. I like the eye patch. The gold is dope. All I'm saying is just, like, you know, remember your peeps.
The key is to FUD it, and then they'll come and give you an honorary, Jack. Come on. Anyone use any of the crypto tax tools? I think you're just supposed to use Allie, right? You just send her all your transactions.
Yeah, you just DM Allie a CSV. Within about 10 minutes, she's got you back all your taxes.
Is she out of the thick of it, or does she have a bunch of extendors that she's now dealing with?
She extended most people, but they're through like the worst of it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. A couple other housekeeping things. I've mentioned this to the club VIPs in the Twitter, but it seems like we are a go for, we're going to try to do a show at NFT NYC, aiming for that Tuesday. I believe I can check the chain, aka the calendar. I believe it's like June 22nd. It's a Tuesday. So if you guys are around for NFT NYC, we should have more details on that. Actually hoping we can have a little bit of a group at our show. I think we're going to do it at the Underdog offices. Have gotten the green light for that. I don't know what capacity is going to be, standing room only, but we will figure that out. But if you're in New York, yeah, we'll probably figure out a bar or a place to meet up afterwards. And I don't know, a lot of people had been asking me about Vegas again, but it seemed like the way our schedules were breaking, that Summer League was going to be tough. Is that still the case for you guys?
Yeah, I think I'm NGMI to Summer League.
Yeah, that was kind of where it was trending. I know some of our hoopers were disappointed. Maybe we could get like a little I don't know, there has to be a good pickup game in Brooklyn somewhere. Maybe we could get a little NFT NYC hoops action.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out. Jack, anything else here before we power this one down?
Should we rip open my legendary NFL All Day pack?
Sure, why
the
not? I
vibes,
mean,
just for
that's
the
how
vibes.
we a little walk off pack here.
Yeah, just for the vibes.
All right, cheers for the vibes. Oh, I play the wrong one every time. Take two. Yo, what up? It's DJ Pete Overzet. Welcome to the club. We didn't think things were gonna get popping tonight, but it's about to get lit. Behind door number 2, it's a 3-pointer. 13-25, Kevin Durant. We're gonna get a LaMelo. We're gonna get a Luka. We're gonna get a LeBron. Victory reveal. Let's go. God damn it! I don't need another layup. To the window. To the wall. The De'Aaron Fox stripped down my ball. 293 assists. Everybody get their drinks. Let's get a cheers tonight before we open up these nice packs. Cheers. Also, real quick before Jack shares his screen, look at this still photo.
Oh, I mean, hold my Johnson, he said.
Good God. The way he's like giving himself a cup, just to protect his own nutsack against his face is incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, Jack, share the screen.
I'm trying to figure out how
Oh, no.
I don't know how it works. I just don't. No, I know how to share. Oh, here we go. Packs. I'm not gonna lie. I did not claim my pack yet.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah,
no. Well,
so
I'll tell everyone take a nap. Take a nap while Jack.
Whoa,
I think
whoa! What's this?
it's only taken. I think it only takes like a minute now.
Oh, that's good.
I did. Yeah,
That's
I
the
opened.
future.
I got one of these packs. I opened it. I think I opened it on a stream on Friday. I got a Randall Cunningham. Pretty nice.
Nice, Richard. Congrats to your Miami Heat. Good win.
Ricky Beers. Ricky Beers has been traveling all over. He's been heading down to Arizona, Texas, living the good life, drinking margs and Modelo's across the American Southwest. That's what I want to be doing.
Whoa. All right. Here's a big one. If the Pelicans were to advance to the second round, a Zion Williamson return isn't out of the question.
A what? A
That'd be
return to the buffet? I mean, come on.
That I went to the Pelicans game on Sunday night. That was one of the most fun basketball games I've been to in a while.
The Smoothie Center?
Yeah, it was really fun. They
Yeah,
were crazy in there. Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, I haven't been to the Smoothie Center. I've been to a Saints game at the Superdome, and it's fun atmosphere for sure.
You want to talk about not fun atmospheres is the Atlanta Hawks. Jesus. I mean, that was just silent. It was crazy. On a Friday night, down 2-0, like, your squad needs you. And it got loud like with a minute left when Trey hit the game winner, but it was crazy. There was a bomb scare, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe
It seems like a decent
maybe
not
maybe people were like slow to, I don't know, but yeah, huge comeback, and it was like not that hype.
Where were I was because I saw you. Who were you with? You were with Trill Withers.
Oh yeah, we were with
Or-
Trill. Trill was there. Yeah.
Okay, and where I couldn't tell where were you guys sitting way up? You weren't woodpecking.
Yes, we're sitting way up. What's why is it
Well, I
always
was
about
trying. I
why
saw
is it
a
always
photo
about
of you.
floor? Why is it always about seat price?
Yeah,
you know?
roars not floors, friends, not floor seats.
Yeah, we're high up.
Wow.
I'll address that with my manager. The expectation should be floor or sell the floor. So we
Yeah,
can
you were
afford
having
the
to do
floor.
lots of zoom ins on some of those photos. I thought you were down pretty bad.
All right. Well, Brett Favre number 4 did get pulled, unfortunately. So that is that's not what we're pulling here. Who's the best player in the pack?
I mean, the Brett Favre.
Is it?
It has to be.
I know for a fact, like 10 years down the line, like the biggest lock of all time is that generation will think Brett Favre, like their revisionist history will be that he was like one of the worst quarterbacks ever, right? Like he threw a ton of interceptions. He like was never won after early on in his career, right? Like that'll be the revisionist history.
Look at you, Jack,
for
with
sure.
all these data analytical back takes. I feel like the old Jack would have been like, Brett Favre was a gunslinger and he sent dick pics. That's my guy.
But that is true. That could be that generation. They could be, the alt-rights could be like, we love Favre, like fuck everyone, and we love his cock. So all right, here we go. That's more like it.
Clip it. Fuck everyone and we love his cock. Jesus. This is a walk-off pack, by the way.
All right, here we go. Ooh. All right, we'll start.
No
here.
delayed hover on all day.
Yeah.
Utility.
Wow.
Oh, Terrell Davis, my guy. The Mile High
See,
salute.
I mean, he's a good player, but you know what they say? Melvin Gordon was better, and that's why the Broncos
Give me the salute.
brought
I
him.
need a close-up on the salute. Wow. Jack, we might have to do an OTC trade here. Give me a Terrell Davis. Let me see what the floor price is for a Terrell Davis these days. Not that floors matter.
Not that
Not
floors matter.
collecting.
You're a collector. All right. So the whole pack is historical? That's cool.
All
All
right. I regret to inform you that the floor is $18, so I will not be brokering a trade with you. I'll just buy it myself. Donald Driver? Okay.
No. That is not a Donald Driver moment. That is a Brett Favre moment that Donald Driver happens to be in.
Oh,
so
wow.
anyone wants one of those? There we go.
Von Walker. Another Bronco for you. I got
Who
this
is
one
that?
in my pack too.
Who is this?
A wide receiver from the old era Broncos that's not Ed McCaffrey or Rod Smith, so not that interesting.
Who threw that pass? Was it Jake the Snake?
What year is this? It might have.
I don't
Might
think
have
it
been,
was. It was 06, but it was number
Oh, then it
4.
might have been Orton.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, could have been Colin.
Okay. All right, Brett Favre, number 1.
Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. We appreciate you. Jericho Cotchery.
Suck my
Let's go.
cotchery.
Suck my cotchery. Suck our
Is that from
cotchery. See
Favre?
you guys
Oh my god.
next Tuesday.